Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. We have got both aircraft from your right, the Kittyhawk and the Sea Fury. Now, still in front of the crowd on the 45 coming in. Looks like they're going to get a couple of formation manoeuvres before they break for their individual displays. So Peter Teichmann leading the formation in the Kittyhawk. Ball's rolling left. Fantastic sound of those two heavy piston engines. One of these aircraft based here with the historic flight at Royal Naval Air Station Yeovilton. Historic flight based over behind the control tower in the green hangar you can see there. We saw their Swordfish earlier on. The Sea Fury belongs to them as well. And the other aircraft, the Kittyhawk, is from a Hangar 11 collection based at North Wales, owned and operated by Peter Teichmann, demonstrating the aircraft for us today. Operates all four of them. That's the Supermarine Spitfire, the North American P-51 Mustang, the Hawker Hurricane, and of course, the Curtiss P40 Kittyhawk. Peter cracking on the speed, lots of power over the top of that loop. Wonderful sound from that V12 engine. These aircraft were produced in large numbers. The Kittyhawk, or Warhawk as she was also known, was a ruggedly effective and potent fighter. She supplied air forces of America, Britain, Australia and New Zealand, and a large number of these were operated by Russia as well. She fought with distinction in every theatre of operation during World War II. In Europe and the Western Desert against the Germans and Italians, as operated by aces such as Billy Drake and Neville Duke of RAF's 112 Squadron. In the far north, the Aleutians, in the entire Pacific campaign against the Japanese. They were the main weapon in the China, Burma, India campaign, and immortalised by the famous American volunteer group, the Flying Tigers, achieving 297 kills on this type. And she's going to be recovered and put in a museum. So, topside pass, pulling up again. Brief history, this aircraft is a P40N, was manufactured in October 1943 and assigned to a Royal Canadian Air Force squadron. She flew with a number of Canadian squadrons before being demobbed in 1950, and she went to Oregon State University as an instructional airframe. She was stored for a long period after that and was discovered as a complete and well-preserved example in the late 70s. Then restored over a period of time, first flew again in 1982. She took up residence at the Imperial War Museum in Duxford in 1985 and joined the Hangar 11 collection where she lives today in 2005. That lovely rasping sound you hear as the aircraft accelerates along the crowd line, caused by the Allison engine. It's the most powerful derivative of the Allison engine, the 100 series, producing in excess of 1,200 horsepower. The Allison engine wasn't as powerful as the Rolls-Royce Merlins at the time, but it was a smoother and tougher engine, and it served very well in rugged and difficult theatres of operation. Aircraft is capable of 380 miles per hour at 10,000 feet, and she was armed with 6 wing guns and had the capability of carrying a 500-pound bomb load as well. Imagine against armour in the desert, armour and infantry, very, very effective weapon. These aircraft initially trialled as high-altitude fighters, found that the Allison engine wasn't so suitable, the aircraft wasn't suited to that role, and the ground attack, and as a low-level fighter aircraft, was very, very effective indeed. And that aerodynamically induces the aircraft to roll. Some ailerons work better than others. The Kittyhawk benefits from fantastic control harmony, but particularly great performance in roll. And we're just about to see that demonstrated. Roll on the 45, level now. This aircraft is a rare sight anywhere in the world, but especially in the UK. She's the only example outside Australia and the USA. And in fact, in the world, there's only a handful of these still in airworthy condition. She currently wears the colours of the 332 Fighter Group, better known as the Tuskegee Airmen. This squadron was based in southern Italy during the period 1944 to 1945 and saw repeated action over Nazi-occupied territory. Fantastic shot there, ladies and gentlemen, straight at the crowd and then into that vertical manoeuvre, demonstrating the power of that engine. The Tuskegee Airmen, as some of you may well know the story behind the Tuskegee, the black airmen who pioneered the way for... And she'll wear these colours till the end of the season, and then she'll be repainted. She'll have her nationality changed from the United States to the Royal Air Force, and she'll be painted in 112 Squadron colours. And 112 Squadron served with distinction in the Western Desert during World War II. So coming towards the end of the display, the Sea Fury is holding away. And we've just heard from Peter that this will be the last pass. So last chance for photographs, ladies and gentlemen. As he comes down the hill, cranks the speed up. It'll be a fast pass. Do give him a wave and a clap as well as he comes past. So ladies and gentlemen, from the Hangar 11 collection in North Weald, flown by Peter Teichmann, the P40 Kittyhawk. And ending in a lovely, graceful barrel roll. Fantastic. Do not miss that. They, of course, are the green Hawks parked opposite the red Hawks of the Red Arrows. Then the S-Back 300, flown by the current British aerobatic champion. He will be on at around 20 to 4. After that, not only using all of the assets we have here from the Royal Navy, the Fleet Air Arm and the Royal Marines, but from the right, ladies and gentlemen, the Hawker Sea Fury. Sea Fury is a carrier-borne fighter-bomber and was the last British Fleet Air Arm's last piston fighter in the Fleet Air Arm. She was developed during World War II but didn't see service with the Fleet Air Arm until after the war. Arguably the fastest piston-powered aircraft ever manufactured. From that Bristol Centaurus engine. Hugely complicated, hugely powerful engine. This aircraft is a development of the Hawker Tempest, and that was a development itself of the Hawker Typhoon. Originally this was designed as the Fury, not the Sea Fury, in 1942, to provide the RAF with a lightweight replacement for the Tempest 2. Design was modified in 1943 to meet a Royal Navy specification for a carrier-based interceptor, and named the Hawker Sea Fury. Hawker was designated to work on the land-based version, and responsibility for naval conversion was assigned to Bolton Paul Aircraft Limited of Wolverhampton. However, the end of World War II brought a cancellation of all contracts for the Fury. The Royal Air Force didn't want it, but the Royal Navy reduced its order for Sea Furies to 100 aircraft and cancelled the Bolton Paul contract in its entirety. So the aircraft was then manufactured by Hawkers themselves. First production aircraft, a Mark 10, which was a carrier-based version with folding wings, made its first flight in September 1946. First deck trials were with Sea Fury TF-898. They began aboard HMS Victorious during the winter of 1946-47. Aircraft was improved for carrier operations in spring 1947, and 5 Fleet Air Arm squadrons were then equipped with the Sea Fury. Mark 10 was followed by the Mark 11 fighter bomber. 615 of these were eventually delivered to the Navy. It became the Fleet Air Arm's principal single-seat fighter, and remained so until the introduction of the Seahawk jet fighter until in 1953. Wingtip vortices as the aircraft pulls up, more commonly associated with jet aircraft, because this is the absolute pinnacle of piston aircraft development. As I said earlier on, arguably the fastest piston-engined aircraft ever produced, used very successfully after the war in air racing, of course, in slightly modified form. In Fleet Air Arm service, the Sea Fury served throughout the Korean War, replacing the Supermarine Seafire. Seafire, of course, was the navalised version of the Spitfire. It was never really built for carrier operations. It was a little bit too fragile. It was a much bigger, more rugged aeroplane, built and designed with carrier operations in mind. As well as being used by the Fleet Air Arm, also used by Canada, Holland, Australia and other countries, including the Iraqi Air Force. A total of 75 Sea Furies served with the Royal Canadian Navy between 1948 and 1956, and they all flew from the aircraft carrier HMCS Magnificent in 871 Squadron. So the aircraft positions again, cranking the speed back up. I'll get another chance to hear the wonderful sound of that 2,480 horsepower Bristol Centaurus air-cooled engine. She's got a fair turn of speed. She'll do 740 kilometres an hour, service ceiling of 10,912 metres. And in her military days packed quite a punch, armed with 4 20mm cannon. She could also carry 2,000 pounds of bombs or 12 3-inch rocket projectiles. Sea Fury based here at Yeovilton with the Royal Navy Historic Flight. And we've seen one of their other aircraft today already. That, of course, was the Fairey Swordfish, very different aircraft from a slightly different era, and just shows how far piston-engine aircraft development and naval aircraft development had come from the 1930s to mid-1940s. The technological advances, of course, during World War II were phenomenal. The Royal Air Force and the Royal Navy equipped with biplanes in 1939 and flying jets, including, of course, the Gloucester Meteor that we're going to see later on, by 1944. Actually, the Royal Navy Historic Flight has 2 of these aircraft. One they operate themselves, the other operated on behalf of the Flying Navy Heritage Trust. Give them a wave, ladies and gentlemen. Wing rocks to say goodbye. We may get 1 or 2 other pass. I'm just keeping one ear on air traffic to see what he's doing, whether he's going to come around break and land or whether we are going to get 1 more pass. And they snag a cable which has brakes on it, friction brakes on it, to shorten the landing run of the aircraft. And landing a tailwheel aircraft in a sparky wind is never easy, but can you imagine doing it on the pitching, rolling deck of an aircraft carrier? Absolutely incredible. So there we are, ladies and gentlemen, that was the Sea Fury. If you look to your left,